Good morning, everybody. Last I heard from our beloved Reverend Gail, she was zip-lining yesterday. Woohoo! Yeah, go. I'm so happy she had this time to go and center in and be with people who love her up, and she's going to come back. I swear she's going to be off the floor. So, is she? Woohoo! Hi, Rev G. So this morning, the title of my talk is Kindness Towards Ourselves. Hot topic here. It's been an opportunity the last couple of weeks that I've known that was going to speak today, that there's every opportunity under the sun that I got to practice that. It's funny how God works that way, and sometimes it's comfortable and sometimes it is not. Let's talk about what is comfortable. This month, Reverend Gail has been following the CSL August theme, which is a world that works for everyone, which is one of the CSL, or Centers for Spiritual Living, guiding principles. And this morning, we're going to talk about a little kindness towards ourselves. And I think I'm going to also throw in there a little compassion towards ourselves. In the book we've been studying this month, Ordinary Goodness by Edward Viljoen, which is available in the Life Abundant bookstore. He says that there are subtle differences between self-kindness, self-esteem, and self-compassion. And I really liked his definitions. Self-kindness is the practice of treating yourself decently with gentleness and consideration. Now there's a concept. Self-esteem is feeling good about and thinking well about ourselves or yourselves based on skills, accomplishments, and appearances. And self-compassion, though, doesn't require achievements of any kind. Rather, it grows out of the recognition that all beings are worthy of kindness, regardless of their struggles, of their looks, or their success. Self-compassion is about being gentle with ourselves when things don't turn out the way we hoped, or when we have made a mistake or done something with regret. Basically, it's kind of like give yourself a break here, okay? Growing up, and I'm sure that we all have the experience that in the physical world, sometimes there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of opinions of people around us, and those things are often the way we mold how we think and hear ourselves. And sometimes there's that outside chatter that becomes our inside chatter, and it's one of those things where it's like, how do you do your job? You know, are you dressed right? Are you eating the right foods? Are you walking the right way? Does your hair look good? All those things, all those, self things, because the outside world is telling me this is what I'm supposed to be, act, and do. It reminded me, I was thinking this morning of a little magnet we have on our refrigerator. We have two dogs. They're Chiweenies. They're little things, and they're a little yappy, but they're just like filled with love. And the magnet on our refrigerator says, "May I be the person my dog thinks I am." Because my dog thinks I can do no wrong. Barb can do no wrong. Anyone who comes into our house can do no wrong because you give them food and love, and they're just like all over the place. So I like thinking about my life and who I am by how my dog thinks about me. I'm pretty darn awesome, especially when I got treats. So growing up, I learned to put other people's needs and desires before my own. And I kind of had the focus on other people before putting them on myself. And what I learned also was that if I put focus on myself, or I was boosting myself up by saying something kind about myself, I was kind of told it was being self-centered and greedy. So I stopped. I stopped thinking those things for myself and started looking around and learning to speak harshly to myself and judge myself, and consequently believe something outside of myself was my truth. I ran around trying to figure out what everybody else needed and how to please the world so I fit in and got the world's approval. What I say about that now is BS. belief system. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Yeah, not from the stage. So I had to change my belief system back to the truth of who I am, the truth that I came into this world and all of us came into the world as being a perfect person made in the image and likeness of Spirit or God. That we are here made perfect and whole and complete. And God is love and kindness and honesty and integrity and peace. And that is who I am. That is my truth. The truth isn't I'm greedy. The truth isn't I'm self-centered when I think about myself. So it didn't take overnight to come to this. It took a lot of school through the hard knocks to finally get myself to the point where I walked through the doors of a Center for Spiritual Living or a religious science church. And I continually had to remind myself that the world around me, even when it wasn't so unkind or it wasn't kind to me, that I am the beloved with whom God is well pleased at all times. Sometimes I'd be in a situation like after a breakup with someone and just be the lowest I could ever be in my life. And I'm just like, oh, nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I think I'll go eat worms. And so it's one of those things where I just couldn't get myself back up. And what I learned from religious science in that time of being in a place of beating myself up, to go back to what truth is, because the truth of Spirit is never wrong. It brought me home. And one of the things that I've done for years, I've been in religious science probably about 20-some years, almost 20 years. 20 years this year. And what I've learned is that God is always right there within, and that I don't have to go anywhere. And when I'm feeling not so spiffy about myself and I can't say good things about myself, I remind myself of who I am. That I am loved, I am peace, I am kindness, and I can have good words to speak about myself. That's word, that's right. I saw a practitioner. I started seeing a practitioner about 15 years ago, and I've had the same practitioner for 11 years, and she's dynamite. Yeah, the thing is, she doesn't let me get away with anything. When I start the old pity party and that I'm not kind to myself and I don't like this and I'm bad and I don't like this, my hair looks bad, I'm turning gray, she goes, stop it. What is your truth? What do you need to be saying about yourself? Oh, yeah, I can get myself out of this because that's not the truth of who I am. So what does it look like to be kind to ourselves? One of the things that after a breakup and having a really rough time, I started to see myself as having to date myself. Because in order for me to have pictured out here what it is I wanted to bring into my front, I had to treat myself the same way. So I started bringing myself flowers, and I started taking myself out to dinner and went for a massage, took a little walk and told myself how wonderful I was, bought a new outfit, and lo and behold, I started attracting people to me that had that same mindset. And so it does work. It seems a little corny at first because, you're going through the grocery store with a big old thing of flowers. And, oh, who's that for? Me. It's for me. Only me. I love myself. I don't say that part to the person there because they don't seem to like that or get that. They just kind of look at you. So it's taking the time to love ourselves, heal ourselves, have good thoughts about ourselves. Where am I going here? Hold on one second, God. No, okay, all right, okay, good. All right, so, sorry about that. One of the things you have to do is look at what you value. What do I value in myself? Well, it's doing that self-inventory. I like the fact that I like to laugh. I like to pun. I am good at. I am. And what you're doing is when you're saying I am, you're speaking the truth of what God is, because God is I am. And so that you are the I am. You are that beloved with whom God is well pleased, and you are the image and likeness. Therefore, you are the I am. So you speak that word of truth about yourself. There is a golden rule that flows through all of world religions. In Christianity, the saying is, do unto others as you wish them to do unto you. Buddhism is, hurt not others with that which pains yourself. Islam, no one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother or sister that which he desires for himself. And Judaism is, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And Confucianism, say that 3 times real fast. I love this one. Whatever is disagreeable to yourself, do not do unto others. So if I'm not gonna, if I'm like, okay, if I'm treating myself poorly, how am I gonna treat the next person? Or if I'm treating the person in front of me better than I treat myself and have more compassion for them than I have for myself, how is that going to improve the world around me? It isn't. So what we know from these universal laws it's the law of cause and effect. What you put out comes back. So what do I want to put into myself? What do I want to come back? God is impersonal. That everything we put into it says yes. So looking at the word, one of the quotes that Heather used today was perfect, was that from Malachi, it said, for I am the Lord, I change not. Take the word Lord out of there, put the word law, because there's universal law everywhere, put the word law. For I am the law, and I change not. So the law that we're putting our thoughts into never changes. So if I say into that law, I'm smart, it's going to say yes. If it says I'm pretty, it's going to say yes. If I say, God, I'm stupid, it's going to say yes. If it says the guy in front of me who cut me off is a blank, 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 it says yes. So it always says yes, whatever I put into it. It has to, because it's impersonal. It doesn't really care. But it's going to move on what it is that you put into it. It's going to expand on that. So personally, I really like the happier parts happening in my life. Woo, I'm prosperous, baby. I'm healthy, whole, and complete. My life works. I always have a great parking space. All those things. I am confident in myself. And when I come from that place, the rest of the world mirrors that to me. That to me is self-kindness. That is self-compassion, because I am taking the time to know who I am and believe it and know it, because God already does. William Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true. And so we need to stand forth in life knowing to thine own self be true. It's not self-centered. It's absolutely what Spirit wants us to be and know and do, because if we're that for ourselves, the mirror out here is going to be magnificent. What's going on in our society right now is a little bumpy. We have a little bit of political stuff going on, and we have some people not really liking each other, saying nasty things to each other, and finger pointing and blaming and being in victim mode and the whole 9 yards. And it's about people not feeling good about themselves. And if I don't feel good about myself, I can either do the self-compassion, the self-kindness, or I can go to a place of, you did it to me, you're nasty, I don't like you, you got a green shirt on and blue's the only way to go. It's all those things, is that how we think it shows up. And so we have a bunch of people who don't feel very good about themselves out there pointing at each other going, you this, this, and this, victim, victim, victim. We have a choice to show up as love. We have a choice to show up as kindness. We have a choice to show up as peace. And it all starts with ourselves and that compassion that we have within ourselves. And it seems it's that simple. It really is that simple. And yet There are times in the last 3 weeks that I have not been that. I have not been that for myself, and what shows up is out in my my mirror hasn't been showing up, and it's like, oh, I forgot. I know who I am. And it's constantly going back to that space of I am the divine beloved with whom God is well pleased. In this thing called You, there's a wonderful quote. It's on page 25. That book is also in the bookstore. The greatest thing life could have made to you is yourself. You are a spontaneous, self-choosing center in life, in the great drama of being, the great joy of becoming, the certainty of external expansion. You could not ask for more, and more could not have been given. Life will be to you what you are to it. Wow. So I'm perfection, and I am intelligence. I am beautiful, creative, and prosperous. And we have all that. It's right here. Look outside. There's bazillions of leaves and bazillions of rocks and animals and birds and sunshine and all that. There's bazillions of that. Why not bazillions of goodness for myself? It's not self-centered to think that. So it's also understanding that God doesn't make any mistakes because we are made in the image and likeness of. It doesn't mean that, God's got ears and gray hair and is short and, perfect. But, it's not like that. As God keeps making it up as God goes. Is like, I think I'm going to make myself look like this person called B. And I think I'm going to make this person look like, this person called Reverend Heather. And so it makes us in expansion of itself. We're so magnificent, it's just amazing that we are here and we can continue to expand on what it is that we're here to express. God makes no mistakes. So what would happen if we took the time thinking and saying and acting with kindness about ourselves? What would God do in this situation? Would God condemn something? No. Would I? Well, in this moment, I'm feeling a little condemning, but I need to move away from that. I know that I'm God's perfection. I know that my life is joyous and it is happy and it is prosperous. And each of us can awake into this belief system, that BS. We can wake ourselves up into it because we came into this world as it. It's the truth of why we're here. We're just that human being having that, or that spiritual person having that human experience. And so we're spirit first. And so in that, it's about reminding ourselves of this of every moment that we came here to express and express ourselves mightily. And that's the fun part of this, because there's always something better coming up. And if you don't like this minute, wait a minute. It'll change, especially if your thoughts change. We are each worth knowing we are wonderful. We are each worthy of knowing we are wonderful. And we are each worthy of having that self-esteem for ourselves and that self-compassion when something's not going right, and that self-kindness when needing a little bit of a boost. And being in a center, in a community like this, we keep reminding ourselves of this through our Community First groups and through the Ministry of Prosperity and Generosity, and through being a practitioner or somebody on a service team, or just showing up and being part of this energy in the community. That is the best thing we can do, because then we go out and the ripple effect is that as we are that in our community here, we are that outside. Now, if you're having a day where you're not believing you're wonderful and awesome and all those things, on Sundays you're lucky because the practitioners sit over here and do prayers, and they'll know it for you. When I'm really out of it, I call my practitioner. I said, I need you to know this now. Got it. And it's done. And there's always a shift because I'm not having to take that responsibility of boosting myself up. Someone else is. So, self-kindness this week. Take some time to do that for yourself. Bring yourself some flowers. You know, take a break. Go take a walk someplace beautiful. Just take that time to remind yourself how good you are and how wonderful you are. You don't have to listen to what the news says. You don't have to see that there's all this hate and discontent. You can be the love and the peace so that at least you're bringing that out into our world. We each have that ability to shift what's happening around us. It only takes one person to shift a huge thought, huge experience. Make sure this week that you know that you are the beloved with whom God is well pleased. And so in closing, I'd like to ask us to go into prayer. There is one life, one power, one presence in the universe, and that is absolute love, perfection, and goodness. I call it God. I call it the divine spirit, the knowing. I know that I am one with God. I know that God is in me, as me, is perfected and perfect. I know that my real nature is divine perfection in every aspect of my life. I am kind and loving in my thoughts, words, and actions about myself. My world around me reflects this perfection and good. Divine Spirit guides me into peace, happiness, and success. I am enough. I am love. I am loved. All is definitely well. And for this, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for the Genesis community. I am so absolutely grateful for the coming together and knowing that we are each the divine beloved with whom God is well pleased. Life is so good, and so it is. Amen. Namaste.